hello, Rassie. Rassie, just your thoughts on yesterday's test, the negatives and the positives, please.
Yeah, the negatives. Hello, everybody. Yeah, the negatives is negative. Negative is definitely, we were building nice momentum, and although we know the Tonga game will be really a tough one, as will the Scotland game be for Ireland, and that will probably determine who's number one or two or three on the table. And my thoughts were always Scotland was going to be a slippery game, and it might be a tough one for Ireland as well, and so can Tonga be for us. So getting one log point out of it, I think that's a bit of a positive. Losing the match is a negative. I think you all know that we lost by 5 points. Obviously, the negative is again, which you guys would, I'm sure, ask a lot of questions about. Is 11 points left out there, which we couldn't kick. And then positives were that we really, I think it's the first time in I don't know how many years we kept the Ireland attack to only 13 points. And I think this is the first time that we haven't scored double figures since we played them way back and when it was 39-3. So I think it was a great tussle between the number 1 and 2 in the world. And it turned out to be that. And now it's focused on the next game to see if you can get out of the pool, and then focus on those two teams. Can be Italy, France, or New Zealand, of course.
Jan?
Merci.
Thank you, Zina. Rassie and Deon, you can both answer this. Has this added pressure to the whole process? I mean, you just touched on the fact that you guys are building nicely. Has this been a setback, or is it added pressure to the way you're going forward?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's pressure. I think there was certainly certain departments that functioned really, really well against the best current team ranked in the world, and who's, I think, on 15 test matches in a row. We came in within 3 points last year, and this year within 5 points, and I think we all knew up until the last line out we had an opportunity to snatch that match away. But I think at the end, deservingly, they won the game. But no, it doesn't add pressure because you just want to get out of your pool. And when you get out of your pool, whoever is brave enough to say we want New Zealand or we want France, I don't know who will make that call ever. We definitely don't want to make that call. We will let destiny decide what that call is, because they certainly both formidable opponents. So no, in terms of that, definitely not added pressure. The pressure was always to get out of the slippery pool. But I think there's still some pressure on that. We'll see tonight when Tonga and Scotland play each other. But if Scotland gets 5-5, they go into the Irish test match with 10 points. And then it's 14 points, 10 points, Scotland and Ireland. If Tonga gets 10 points, then it's us and them. Going into a game that's really a slippery one, and the same in the other pool. So no, it doesn't add pressure. The winning momentum is just a nice thing to see how different combinations work and how things are getting better and how you play are getting better and how things are starting to come together. And it certainly did, a lot of it did, but then there was 2 or 3 departments which is obvious, which didn't.
Guys, please raise your hands if you have questions. Aniso?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Zina. Good afternoon, Deon. Good afternoon, Rassie. Rassie, understandably, the talk is about Manile box kicking, the goal kicking in particular. How did you see it from your perspective, number one? And number two, do you guys have any alternative ways to actually get a quick fix? And just further question, where does Handre Pollard stand in terms of playing against Tonga?
I think the first thing is that I think everybody must just see it in perspective. Handre Pollard is not Superman. He can't come back 4 weeks ago when he was totally not ready to play rugby. He hasn't even run full pace 4 or 5 weeks ago. He's only played 40 minutes of rugby. Yeah, he doesn't come onto field and just do goal kicking. He must tackle, he must pass, he must do kickoffs, he must sidestep, he must hand off, he must clean out in a ruck. So I think that's the first thing where people think, well, we just didn't pick Handre Pollard because we didn't want to pick Handre Pollard. That's obviously not the case. Handre was injured and he only played 40 minutes last week. He had a full week of training with us the past week. And this will now be his full-on contact where he doesn't sit out in one session. And that's why I said last week he wasn't up for selection. But we were always going to rotate the squad coming to the Tonga match. And yeah, he'll be definitely up for selection for this match. Coming to the place kicking of Mani, it's... If you start weighing up the different things that Mani does, it's like Deon for his line-out throwing. I think he got 4 line-outs and 1 not straight. And all his scrums were doing really well. When he was scrumming, then people were really nervous about that. And that went well. Now, if he struggled in the line-outs, we work on that. And we try and get it better. He didn't this weekend, and that's lucky and it's good. And it's good big match temperament from him. Mani is obviously bit in a dip for his goal kicking, but I mean, he know it, we know it, the world know it, everybody keeps on talking about it. When Faf took the one kick over, he kicked it from 15.5 meters against the upright, which we almost also scored from. So, no, we can't magically say, well, somebody else come kick. Faf is a really good goal kicker, but he's not going to be always on the field. Handre is playing this weekend. But let's see how Handre, first of all, do the other stuff in the game. Does he get through the game on the contact side of things? I'm sure he'll also take some time to find his rhythm with his kicking under pressure in big test matches. And the Tonga one will be a great test for him, not as a test, but as a yardstick to see where he is. Before we go into those, if we go and when we go into those quarterfinals, who is on the field, because Mani is certainly playing brilliant fly-off rugby at this stage. Obviously, his goal kicking is not matching that at this stage.
Jan?
Thanks, Zina. Just a follow-up question. Can you give us an update on any other injuries? I know 24 hours has passed or close to passing. Is there any other injury concerns in the team?
No, there's no other concerns in the team.
Questions, guys? Tanisha?
Tanisha? Oh, Bryn.
Bryn? Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought I was not muted. Sorry. One of the things that Jacques mentioned in yesterday's press conference was the lack of conversion of opportunities where we saw, for example, the Ireland game last year where the Boks had a lot of visits in the 22, but they didn't maximize them. Then the following week against France, they didn't have that many 22 entries, but made them count. How do you guys try to find the balance in terms of making sure that you get into the 22, you make chances counting games of such magnitude?
I'll let Deon latch onto let me maybe start it. I think initially it hasn't been a problem for us. I think when the number 1 and 2 team in the world play against each other, it's going to be a margin of 3 or 2 or 5 points. And none of the teams scored more than 13 points in this test match. It's a test match atmosphere with a lot of Irish people, a lot of South African supporters. I don't know, is it 70,000 people? I'm not sure what the stadium capacity is. It brings a different kinds of pressure into the game. But I don't necessarily think they converted more chances than us. They scored 1 try, we scored 1 try. They kicked more penalties over. That's the basics. They converted their try and they kicked 2 more penalties over. So when the number 1 and 2 teams in the world play each other, I don't think there's so many more opportunities of us trying to convert, because a good team like Ireland keep you out, and a good team like South Africa or New Zealand, or you can name a few, they keep other teams out of their in-goal area. like we did in yesterday. I'm sure Ireland's sitting there and not saying, hell, we didn't convert a lot of opportunities. No, I don't think it's a problem. I think our clear problem is that we did not convert our goal kicking. But yes, obviously, the opportunities you create is a positive. And the more you can finish off them, the better. But there's a team on the other side who's doing their best. And if they're number 1 and 2 in the world, they do a good job at it.
Jan?
Thanks, Zina. Rassie, if we can touch, I mean, obviously there's, I suppose, a bit of added pressure because it becomes a must win. But what do you guys expect of Tonga? I mean, you got a chance to watch them today. But what do you guys expect from Tonga next week?
Yeah, I see, Jan, it's not added pressure because all our pool games is must-win games because we always knew we were going to play Ireland. It's going to be very tough. So you can think how tough the first game was for us, the Scotland game. You know, because Scotland is ranked 5 in the world, and that's why I think Ireland is also still in for a tough one to determine who's where in this pool. Tonga is, Romania. We know Romania is a tier 2 team who doesn't get a lot of opportunities. They don't have a lot of full-time professional rugby players, and World Rugby is trying to support them where they can. But they're a team that's on the up. But they're still a bit off the pace when it comes to tier 1 nations. But Tonga is a team that has players who's played at various countries at the highest level. Who's played for Australia and for other nations, and there's quite a few names there that scares you if you just think about Pierre and those guys. So individual threats, and no Tota Kefa really well. I think Tota coached them. My playing days I played against him. So I think we will definitely in for individual brilliance. We were for well coached team because I like Tota when he played at the ref, was good at scrumming, mauling, lineouts, and those kind of things. Yeah.
No, definitely, I agree. I think it has been shown in the World Cup so far that tier 2 nations, when they come up against tier 1 nations, they play with a lot of passion. And as the coach have said, they've got a lot of experienced guys within their team, and I think they've also got an experienced coach that played at that level. So I think playing against us in their last pool game, it's going to be competitive, and it's going to be important for us to prepare the same way in which we are preparing for any other team and make sure that we get a good reward out of the game.
Orion?
Merci, Zina. Hi, Rassie. Hi, Deon. There are good chances now that you might face France in the quarterfinal. So I don't know if you want to already think about it. But the second question about that would be, 4 years ago, you faced the host nation already with Japan in quarterfinal. If you have to face France, would this experience from 4 years ago, where you had to find the motivation to face the host nation, would still be useful in case you have to face France?
First of all, like I say again, I think that pull on that side isn't sorted out yet. I still think the Italy game, Italy is leading that lock at this stage, and in France on the final game. So I still think that pool isn't 100% determined. A lot of people will say the French are favourite, but you never know. On that day, Italy might have a great day. On our side, we as coaches have chatted about that. We've got no idea who would we prefer to play, because it would just be so disrespectful. New Zealand is awesome, France is awesome. Having a benefit from playing a host nation, I don't really think that will benefit us. Japan was a team that was ranked, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the world when we played them. They were a developing country in terms of where the players as World Cup experience. They hosted a wonderful tournament. The fans was surely friendly. We had some fans who was adopting us as a team as part of the cities where we stayed. But here we are playing against a French team that's always in the top 4 in the world. and a French team that plays at home with a passionate crowd, where rugby is almost like a type of a religion here, you know. So in Japan, there's a lot of other things happening as well. They just host really well and get a nice vibe going there. But no, I think that specific experience that we have won't really help us at all against a quality French side.
We'll take two more questions. Kaniso and then Hendrik.
Thank you very much, Sina. Dion, good afternoon. I hope all is well. Just looking at France, the France Malherbe and the Scrum in particular, there were a lot of Scrum penalties. Are you able to take us through what the faults were in those Scrum penalties and how they could be sorted for the next games going forward?
Kanisha, I think Dan, who was responsible for the scrums, would be in a better position to elaborate on that. I just think overall, I thought that it was a good battle between the two pack of forwards. We created a good platform from attack, but obviously there was also a scrum where we were penalized and we put them under pressure. I think Dan will look thoroughly into that, and I think he will make plans to address whatever you think is needed for us to be on par in the next game.
This one is for Monsieur Dion. Dion, just to end the press on a positive note, are you happy with the way the Boks competed in the lineouts, especially in the first 40 minutes?
Yeah, Hendrik, I think I'm really impressed in terms of how the boys have stuck to our plan. We know that Ireland is a formidable attacking team, and with good rhythm, at the end of the day, they can impose themselves upon you. And then obviously they've got quite an experienced squad with a very good line-out. So we had to really look thoroughly in terms of how we can put them under pressure. And I was quite, as I said, I was quite impressed with the way the boys reacted towards that. And it's not always just making a turnover, which we did, but also just putting them under pressure in terms of the throwing and with ground pressure. And I think the boys stuck to that, and we got good rewards from that.
Can I maybe add, because you asked something about one or two of the scrums, Kanisha. I must say it was one of the test matches that we probably, when losing, you never enjoy a test match. But I think the intensity, the physicality, the tactical awareness of both teams, you know, the small little battles, line-out battles, scrum battles, breakdown battles, kicking duels, defensive systems and attacking systems. I think it's surely one of the games which I've been part of who was right up there. And I think for, you know, sometimes in a game like that, you sit there all nervous thinking, oh, that was a high hit, will that be sighted? Will it go to the bunker? And then you look at it and it's such a nice thing when there wasn't cards in the game. You know, there wasn't anything referred to the bunker. There were stoppages, but it was more because of injuries. And then even if you look at the tackle, you see a ringer's tackle on Damien, you think, oh, that was on the head, and you see, but it was such a solid tackle. It was on the chest and it moved up. You know, you saw the tackle on Peter Steps too. You think, oh no, that was like a shoulder charge, but then you see, no, it was a bloody good tackle about him. And I think that's what we want as tier one nations who's playing against each other at the highest level in a World Cup like this, is nice physical within the laws, not a lot of referrals, and not a lot of penalties for foul play, because it is a physical sport, but keeping the game safe. And I must say, I think yesterday was a game that was played in good spirit by both teams, and I think well handled by, we don't know who sits in the bunker, but they sit definitely by the TMO, the people in the bunker, and by the referee. I think if we can keep that going, you know, we've got 3 games now without a caught. That will be really great, because that's what I think what we all want.
Brendan, you had your hand raised earlier. If you don't have a question, then we'll wrap it up. Okay. All good. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.